Davante Adams, and this should surprise no one based off what we've heard recently. Davante Adams was on Kay Adams' show this morning and basically all but alluded to the fact that he's done in Las Vegas and is kind of on to the next thing. And we've got news here as it concerns Raiders star receiver Davante Adams, per Mike Garafolo, a fan of the show, by the way, Mike Garafolo, of NFL Media. Raiders star wide receiver Davante Adams has informed the team that he prefers to be traded. Now, Ian Rappaport of NFL Media adding that Adams could stay in Vegas, but the team's going to work on trading him. I'm now joined by my friend Femi Abebefe. Femi, it feels like these two sides are rapidly heading towards a divorce here, and Jets general manager Joe Douglas is on the phone right now.
Oh, he has to be. I mean, we saw the Aaron Rodgers comments, I believe it was when he was in Tahoe for that celebrity golf tournament, talking about like, hey, maybe they could get reunited or something like that. That is going to be the dot that everyone connects Davante Adams to the New York Jets. Now, there's other teams that are wide receiver needy. I would be stunned if he ever found his way in Kansas City. Like, Mark Davis is not as hardcore as Al Davis, but like he still has respect for the Raider organization. He's not trading him to the Kansas City Chiefs. I know people out there saying like, oh, Chiefs, could you do this? Because the litany of injuries that they have at the position, no Hollywood Brown, no Rashee Rice for the foreseeable future. I would scratch the Kansas City Chiefs off that list. But the New York Jets, in a year where Robert Saleh is feeling the pressure, Joe Douglas is feeling the pressure, Aaron Rodgers is feeling the pressure, like they have to produce right now. And their offense looked putrid in the game this past Sunday against the Denver Broncos. So I could see the Jets having the motivation and the urgency to try to get this done. It makes the most sense in terms of their Super Bowl aspirations. We'll see if it ultimately happens. But for the Raiders, I honestly think it's smart to trade Davante Adams. Like, they should. Like, their team's not going anywhere. Go get a pick. Figure it out. With Davante Adams, you suck. Without him, you'll suck as well. Like, you don't need Davante Adams in 2024. Like,
you're 100% right.
Make the trade. So I think from that standpoint, I'm looking at their win total right now, their updated win total at BetMGM, sports report in Vegas. 6.5. The juice is on the over, minus 155, plus 130 to the under. I'm not advocating to run out and just slam under 6.5, but you know what? Plus money. If this gets off the rails and Antonio Pierce continues to do what he's doing on the sidelines, where are the wins coming from? Especially if Denver's going to look the way they look defensively. Denver, of course, favored in that game this upcoming Sunday, hosting the Las Vegas Raiders.
I'll tell you this, man. It's kind of and could be addition by subtraction here with Davante Adams, which doesn't mean that Davante Adams is not a great player. He obviously is an awesome player. The Raiders just beat the Browns without Davante Adams. Like, they literally won a game without Davante Adams. And you get the sense that, and people can say Antonio Pierce doesn't know what he's doing and like the culture he's building is going to be a losing one. People can obviously say that, and maybe it's actually more likely that that's true than otherwise. But if you're going to let Antonio Pierce kind of like build the culture of this team and he's going to be your guy, then like you got to ship Davante Adams out of here because he thinks he's above the team and he's not part of the program. I think the Raiders will be better if they get rid of Davante Adams while understanding he's the best player on the offense. I know he's the best player on the offense, but he doesn't want to be there. He's a malcontent. Think about what happened a couple weeks ago when Antonio Pierce made the comment about business decisions. Gardner Minshew throws a pick on the sideline, and Davante Adams doesn't lift a finger to try and make a tackle. That's not a guy that you want on your team when you're trying to build a winning culture. Now, with that being said, the New York Jets need to trade for Davante Adams yesterday. And people can float whatever team they want, and maybe Adams goes somewhere else. Maybe he stays in Vegas. If you are Joe Douglas, on Femi's point about the New York Jets here, and you are Robert Saleh, like, you're fired if this doesn't work this year. You are fired if it doesn't work this year. So you are therefore incentivized to do whatever you can to win this year. You don't think Aaron Rodgers wants Davante Adams on the Jets? Not on the same page with Garrett Wilson. Here's Alan Lazard and Mike Williams, and I like Mike Williams, and I think Alan Lazard's decent. They ain't Davante Adams. You want to push this offense over the top? At least give yourself a fighting chance after what happened last week against Denver. You go out and you trade for Davante Adams. And who cares what the compensation is if you're Douglas and you're Saleh? You're not going to be around next year anyway to not make those picks. If you lose this year, to me, this is Jets or bust for Davante Adams. I don't want to hear about the Chiefs. The Raiders should be sent like they should play Gonzaga in the Pac-12 in basketball. If they trade Davante Adams in division to the Kansas City Chiefs, demote them to the Pac-12 or the Pac-8 or whatever it is. Cannot trade him in division. You send his ass to the Jets. Everyone wins. Raiders addition by subtraction. Jets addition by addition. I think this absolutely needs to happen. Femi, as far as the Raiders game goes now, this week
Mm-hmm.
against Denver on the road at Mile High, I think we can assume whether Adams is traded or not, that Davante Adams is not going to play in this game.
Nope.
That's and I can be wrong about that. I feel like he ain't playing in this
You're
game.
right.
They'll milk this injury, whatever this injury is. He's not going to
Mm-hmm.
play. What's happening in the betting market here, and does it change what you want to do with the Raiders and the Broncos coming up this Sunday?
So right now I'm looking at the betting market right now. Like the odds board is actually not lighting up. Like it's still 3, like pretty much across the board. Like we saw some movement coming in on Denver late last night, early this morning to push it to like 3 minus 105. There is a 3 minus 110 here in Las Vegas, but the total still holding steady at 36.5. So a little bit of interest on Denver, and the total right now is still what we were sitting at yesterday at 36.5. And like that's my look in this game. I kind of like the under. I could see a scenario where like the Raiders kind of use this to like galvanize like around Antonio Pierce and say like, hey, this is our guy, everything, like get the cigars out and all that stuff. But regardless of whether the Raiders are motivated or not motivated, I think they're going to be in a low scoring game.
I think I believe it.
Are you buying it? I don't know if I can buy it. Like your guy Pierce, I don't think he's a good coach. The guy cannot coach whatever. And like, first of all, like we're going to derail the conversation here real quick. This whole thing started about like the Kay Adams conversation that Davante Adams had when it was brought up to him that Antonio Pierce, I guess, like accidentally liked the post about the trade rumor or him being traded. I don't know. I didn't even know Antonio Pierce was even on social media.
Get the music going here. I'm in on the Raiders this week, Femi. I'm way in on the Raiders. +3. They're gonna win this. They're gonna win on Sunday on the road at Denver without Davante Adams. I'm telling you.
Deanna Wynn is a troll on Twitter, liking tweets about Davante Adams. About Davante Adams being traded. Like, I don't know what was going on with that. Like, it just seems.
Deanna Wynn is trolling on Instagram. You absolutely love it.
It just seems like an unserious operation, and I get where you're coming from. And if I had to bet a side, I would bet the Raiders side. I'm just betting it under.
No, you have to. You have to. No, pride and
there's not gonna be points.
Commitment to excellence. Just win, baby, with the
Just
Las
like
Vegas
baby.
Raiders on Sunday. Just win, baby. Just trade the disgruntled wide receiver, baby. I don't know why. And look, I'm telling you right now, like I do my Board of Spreads video tomorrow for BetMGM.
Yes.
I'm taking the Raiders as one of my 5 best bets. Give me
Favorite
3
bet of
with
the
the
week?
Raiders and no Davante Adams. You know what? Favorite bet of the year. Raiders on money line on Sunday. I believe. Get his ass out of there, man. See ya.
I would never bet
How's he ever
Denver. I'll
done?
say that. I'd never bet Denver in the game. That's what I would say. But I think the Broncos defense is gonna just put Gardner Minshew in a straitjacket. So that's why I'm not as confident. But I see where you're coming from with the autumn wind. But I don't think I can get there. I'm just gonna go under.
I guess he didn't demand a trade. He's like the language that was used was told the Raiders he prefers to be traded. I love
What does that?
this
What does that
stuff.
mean? What does that even?
It means he wants out.
Yes.
That's what it means. It's insane.
My preference would not to be to work here anymore. Like, what is that? Like,
Yes.
stupid.
Yeah. My preference would be to be elsewhere. I don't want to be here anymore. Tigers up 3-0 on the Astros, top of the 7th. We're in the bottom of the 2nd in Baltimore. Orioles and Royals scoreless. Is there? The answer is probably no. Would you try to get ahead of something with Davante Adams? Like, would you bet something with the Jets, expecting them to make a deal? I guess we don't know when a deal could happen. It doesn't have to happen this week. It doesn't have to happen next week. Like the trade deadline, I think is on election day.
It's like around like that Halloween. Is it really? It's election day, like the November.
I think it's in November, the trade deadline. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because I know it's like always like around Halloween because they always push it back further and further. So if it's early November, there's still like a full month until that point. So as we know,
Davante Adams
deadlines.
for Tim Walz and a squad member to be named later.
Maybe the football players that Tim Walz coached way back when. Deadlines typically make deals with these sort of things. Now, Davante, because it doesn't sound like he's ready to be like full on like Terrell Owens 2005 malcontent in Philadelphia. It doesn't sound like he's ready to do that.
You don't think so? I don't know. I got the feeling he
at
goes
least
to the
not
Jets
right
and all of
now.
a sudden he's healed.
Is Davante? Is he doing sit-ups in the driveway in Las Vegas?
Is Drew
Maybe I'll join
Rosenhaus
him.
his agent? Like, we should find out about this. See if that's true.
Yeah, we should find out about that. I know he reps Tyreek Hill. I don't know if he reps Davante Adams. Unless Davante's willing to go to that length, then I don't see this happening like this week. I could definitely be wrong. I don't have any insider information. Nobody's told me anything. I could definitely be wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen this week. And like these deadlines, they make the deals until there's actual urgency. Nothing typically gets done. So I would guess at the earliest it's next week, but maybe even beyond that point, just given the fact that the trade deadline's not coming up until a little bit later. And also, let's see what the Jets do. Like, what if the Jets go out there and put up, I don't know, 30 points on Minnesota? Doubtful, but what if they do that? Like, do they want to go ahead and bring Davante in? Probably, but they're not going to be like acting with super urgency to like, oh, we must get him now. Now, if the Jets lose on Sunday to the Vikings, which is what's the favorite outcome in the market, maybe that would kick things into gear for Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh saying, like, get me Davante ASAP. So I think it's a very fluid situation, which is why Rappaport tweeting in the way that he's tweeting, we'll see what happens. But I think that if the Jets lose, then maybe that would actually make it to where Davante's on the team next week, if it actually is the New York Jets. It could be a mystery team as well. We have to leave that option open. I don't know who that team would be. I don't know if you want to kick around that team, but there could be a team out there that says, you know what, let's scoop the Jets and let's go get Davante Adams and make a run at it. What if it's the Buffalo Bills? Like,
see, I think my only problem with that is if you are the Jets, right, and you're the Raiders, and your job as like Tom Telesco, his job, he's not a good GM, but you have to know this. Like, your job is to get the most for the player. So let's say, I'm making this up. The Bills offer a second-round pick, and the Jets had been offering a 3. And Tom Telesco then calls Joe Douglas and says, we have a call, like a 2 offered somewhere else. Like, Joe Douglas needs to beat whatever the offer is. And he's going to get the opportunity to do that because they're going to want to get the most that they can. Like, I look at trades and negotiations, like when I play fantasy football, because, that makes me qualified to be a GM. You have like a wet towel, and it's your job to get every bit of moisture out of that towel when you squeeze it. Like, you got to get everything that you can get. And I think the Jets are going to be the team that's going to pay the most ultimately for Davante Adams, given the unique setup of the team this year.